Alright, so before I begin, I want to do a bit of a confession. I don't like to call myself the word artist. I believe all the stuff I make is very flawed and I'm always self-critical of them. I'm never satisfied with anything I make and I always try to push myself to do harder with every new project. Now, today I want to talk about internet artists. My biggest problem with many internet artists isn't so much skill as it's their lack of originality. These people have better technical skill than artists 20 years ago, but it seems even back then, artists have always struggled on the conceptual side, since styles and ideas are almost completely unoriginal. Everything just feels like this homogenized handful of aesthetics and styles, and it really makes me wonder, why does everyone draw the same things? Something just feels off here, and I'm gonna try to get into it. Now, there's nothing wrong with having inspirations. Derivatives, they are everywhere. Derivatives are a part of the art world, and it's perfectly normal. Hell, here's all of mine. However, go through the trending tab of any website, any social media page, anywhere that hosts art, and you'll see people don't stray too much from their reference. This makes them all have this similar style that's just a knockoff of something everyone already knows. Even if you try to change elements, 95% still looks like this one thing, so people will just call it that regardless. Not saying don't have fun and try to go for a popular style, but it shouldn't be the majority of your creative input. You should aim for distinction as much as you can. Yeah, it's very difficult to do so, but it's not impossible. Like, it sucks when many are limited to generic anime, generic cartoons, shitpost blobs, Tumblr, and bestiality. Again, the first two rarely innovating or making their own based on the format. Like, they don't try new faces, they don't try different eyes, different hair, maybe a new proportions, or color palettes. So, as a result, everything just looks very plain. It looks very standard. It's strange when, despite being from several different people, they all don't look that distinct from one another. They all feel like the same person made it. And finally, the latter three being repulsive, disposable junk for quick engagement that I'm not going to care about any further. Alright, like, look at these characters next to iconic characters. Notice how the distinct artists have a silhouette that's unique. They don't really need to put in a signature since, you can tell who made it. You can tell it's a new idea. And they also combine their influences rather than just copying them, which creates their own visual language. There's not like one style that they go down. They go off of several styles. They don't try one thing. They go for a lot. Yes, original web aesthetics exist. Like, back then there used to be scenecore. Scenecore is one that I can say fits my point. Somebody had to come up with these elements and had plenty of inspiration and made this new style out of it. Now, originality can be defined as having unique brushwork, proportions, and rendering, but it also can be shown with unusual subject matter, themes, and settings. Look at most of the stuff they draw in these styles. A lot of the stuff that I see people draw usually go to fan art, original characters, commissions, some boring trend, or porn. Again, I get some of it. They want to make a living doing what they love. I'm fine with that. I encourage it. But since the ideas are not from the artist, it has a little creative input aside from maybe a style change. And compared to making something completely new, it's pitifully limited input. Let's think of it. Just take the style away. Take away the art style. Take away all that art style. What's left? If it's still generic anime or cartoons, it shows the concept is clearly the issue. Some theories I tried conjuring up for this phenomenon include the following. 1. Originality is difficult, so fan art is their default mode. 2. Copying gets rewarded faster. 3. People mistake technical skill for creativity. And 4. Most artists start as fans, not creators. I tried finding answers, but it seems it was always exactly where I started. Possible answer to why I think these creators are unoriginal comes from this. Social media is optimized for consumption. The sad reality is many people want to be artists, but it's very hard to come up with new ideas. This could explain how memes, fan art, or whatever's vaguely familiar gets popular and why lots of internet artists feel bland. Since the conceptual side is already done, it requires less thinking, ensuring content can be pumped faster and it's easily digestible for the masses. This could probably create a level of content for some artists, so they don't really see the need to come up with anything new. If someone with few skills worked months making an unproven idea, it's most likely not going to receive any attention unless they already have over a decade to connect with the masses. But when it's deriving off something familiar, it's more likely going to rouse the algorithm and therefore get an audience. Think about it. Someone has a whole art account dedicated to any franchise, Super Mario, SpongeBob. People already know what that stuff is. But when I make this series about this guy named Harold, there's no connection with the audience. And the thing is, people want to go for something familiar, and it's most likely I'm not going to get a big enough audience with this. My only issue with familiarity is that it kills risk. Fan art just has a built-in audience, while original ideas don't unless it's implemented into said fan art through the creator's career. But they could also just really love some franchise and want to share it with everyone. However, my issue is, when do you think it's time to actually make something new? It's still important to practice creativity with other skills, so when millions of people already draw the similar stuff you draw, you already have the ideas to stand out. Now, before I conclude, I can hear people miles away saying, Joel, didn't you say almost everything is derivative? Or your drawing style is very similar to your inspirations? Or maybe algorithms only show you the consumable stuff. Here's my answer to all of this. All right, one, to kill two birds with one stone, I said derivatives are common, but I also said you need to add enough new elements to counteract what's inspired to create something new. You also need to have a bunch of inspiration. You can't just go for one thing. A good example is Klasky Chupo and Epec's work. You can see despite having some similar characteristics, the forms are different enough through the anatomy shape so that both are distinct. You can easily tell them apart from one another. And finally, the little I'm on social media, I get shown new artists occasionally. They rarely stand out, though. Like, I swear, you need to be the most schizophrenic, autistic, messed up outcast online in order to make cool art that I want to see. But you always get bombarded and buried by the parade of anime OC fan art slop that I didn't even search for except for making the video. Okay, so in conclusion, my issue isn't fan art, anime, or copying. My issue is when imitation becomes the stop instead of the starting point. I just think internet artists should find more incentive to their own ideas regardless of being hard. You don't need to give up on fan art, commissions, or copying styles. It's okay. This stuff clearly shows to be beneficial for growth. But you need to have as much innovation conceptually and your own identity as much as you have with your skills. To spend some time sketching some new ideas to you, or maybe try making a completely new art style with approaches you come up with. And just never stop innovating. Like, just come up with something new overall.